Shalom. I want to start out by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakak Wadash. I'd like to give to all honors to the apostles and the artists of great millstone, who I learned this truth from, and I'd like to say peace and salutations unto the hopefully elect. And today is January 6th, 2025, Missile Monday. And today, I have this article from Yahoo News. And it reads, North Korea launches new hypersonic missile as Kim Jong-un makes nuclear vow. And pretty much, you've seen the clip of, the missile that Kim Jong-un, or that, North Korea has tested. Now there's no there's no article for it. It was really that clip, but again, I'm not going to make this too long, but this goes to show you that, World War III is coming very soon. It's coming very soon, and you could see that all of these nations that are, or that possess these weapons, they're gearing up for war, at this current time, you know. So it's real quick because I also looked into this because, this is interesting as well. So this is the list of the current nuclear armed nations, right? And it says there are 12,512 warheads in the world, and there may possibly be more, but this is what they have. So North Korea currently possesses 30, Israel has 90, India has 164, Pakistan 170, the UK 225, France 290, China 500, China 410, the United States 5,244, and Russia 5,899. Right. And then it also says 6 nations hosting nuclear weapons. So Russian ally being Belarus. Well, it's unknown how many they have, but the Netherlands have 15, Germany has 15, Belgium has 15, Italy has 20, and Turkey has 35, and these are the current nuclear armed nations, right? And it says at present there are 9 countries in the world that possess nuclear missiles that are Russia, the United States, China, France, the United Kingdom, Pakistan, India, Israel, and North Korea. It says these states have roughly 12,100 nuclear warheads with over 9,500 in active military stockpiles, according to the Federation of Atomic Scientists 2024 State of the World's Nuclear Forces. While this is a significant decline from the approximately 70,000 warheads owned by the nuclear-armed states during the Cold War, nuclear arsenals are expected to grow over the coming decade, and today's forces are vastly more capable, right? And it's going into who has the most nuclear weapons, and it's obvious. The 2 nations that have the most nuclear weapons are Russia and the United States, and in between the two, Russia has more nuclear warheads than than America. Russia possesses more. But I also found that interesting, man, because these are the 9 nuclear armed nations right now. Because you see, North Korea being at the bottom, even though they don't have that many, they still possess, advanced nuclear technology, man. They possess hypersonic missiles as well. And then the clip that I featured in the beginning shows you, the most recent test that Kim Jong Un recently had done, So we're on the verge of a third world war while, these Americans, are still lost in the sauce, man. You know, war is happening. And people just won't understand until they're involved. But it is what it is. But we're in a time of war, man. That's the one thing we have to remember. We're in a time of war. So before I grab that in Isaiah 9, I'm going to start in the book of Ecclesiastes chapter 3. And as you can see, the headline reads, "A time for everything." And it says, excuse me, Slakia, Ecclesiastes 3 and 1, "To everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under the heaven, a time to be born, and a time to die, a time to plant, and a time to pluck up that which is planted, a time to kill, and a time to heal, a time to break down, and a time to build up, a time to weep, and a time to laugh, a time to mourn, and a time to dance, a time to cast away stones, and a time to gather stones together, a time to embrace, and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to get, and a time to lose, a time to keep, and a time to cast away, a time to rend, and a time to sow, a time to keep silence, and a time to speak, a time to love, and a time to hate, a time of war, and a time of peace, man. So that's the balance. There's a time for everything, you know, because indeed, man, just those last few verses, or the last couple verses, pretty much shows you the time that we're in, man. We're coming into the time of mourning, man, because those of us that are in this thing, we're ultimately gonna, lose everything we have, ultimately for the Lord's sake. You know, we're gonna lose our homes, we're gonna lose our jobs, we're gonna lose our vehicles, because those of us that are truly sincere, we're not going to agree with getting, the mark of the beast, which is the RFID microchip, man. We're not going to agree. So then force, that's going to then force us to be, outcasts of society, man. We won't be able to live in the current world to come because we don't have that device, you know. So we're soon coming into a time to lose, man. You know, we're also in a time to speak because there's a lot going on right now, man. 2024 started off, as the Apostle Ramlab said, it started off with a bang, and indeed it did, man. Just within the first 2 days, not even the first 2 days, man, but still, the night of New Year's Eve with the incident in New Orleans, that guy, the incident in Las Vegas with the, Tesla truck, you know, the shooting that happened, in Queens, New York. There's just so much going on, man. There's so much going on. And these are pretty much signs to show you that we're at the end, man, because this man's kingdom is falling, you know. But we're also in a time of hate right now. We are. We're definitely in a time of hate because you clearly see, again, there are 9 nuclear armed nations, and they pretty much, claim that they're possessing these weapons to, deter threats. When in reality, man, they're all going to be used. These nuclear weapons that all of these nations possess are going to be used, man. You know, because as it says in verse 8, a time of war, that's the time that we're in, man. That's ultimately the time that we're in, a time of war. And that's what we're seeing, man. War is happening. You know, Russia and Ukraine are still at war. You know, those, the small hats and, Ishmael is still going to war over there in the land. Russia, Slovakia, not Russia. I already mentioned Russia and Ukraine, but I meant China, and Taiwan. If I'm not mistaken, the U.S., bombed Yemen. It's a lot going on, man. You have these various, small wars that are going on that are ultimately going to lead up to that third woe, which is World War III, right? So let me grab that real quick. The book of Revelation, chapter 9, and verse 12. And it says, one woe is past, and behold, there come two woes more after, right? And woe goes into destruction. That first woe was World War One, you know, which took place already, man, the early 1900s. The second one being World War Two, you know, and the third woe being World War Three, So I want to get that right quick in Revelation chapter 11 and verse 14, and it says, the second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. So, right, World War One passed, then some years later, World War Two, came and went, and then we're soon coming into the time when World War Three is going to take place, man. And it's not going to be a traditional war where you would have a group of men on one side and a group of men on the other side of the battlefield, charging each other in the center of the battlefield with weapons of war, swords, spears, shields, bow and arrows, things of that sort. you know. This war is going to be fought with these nuclear missiles, and this is what Isaiah chapter 9 and verse 5 is going to go into. And it reads, for every battle of the warrior is with confused noise and garments rolled in blood, but this shall be with burning and fuel of fire. So, right, you know, now again, as I always mention, you will have ground troops that are going to be going to war with each other, over in the Middle East, in the region of Saudi Arabia, to be specific, over in that region, you know, but ultimately, this war is going to be fought with these nuclear missiles, man, you know. So, staying in the book of Isaiah, we're going to jump to chapter 54 and verse 16, and it says, behold, I have created the smith that bloweth the coals in the fire, and that bringeth forth an instrument for his work. And I have created the waster to destroy. And indeed, man, these modern day scientists and physicists are, these smiths, man, blacksmiths, you know, because what does a blacksmith do? They create weapons of war, you know, and what are these scientists doing? They're ultimately doing, man, they're creating weapons of war, weapons of mass destruction in reality, because certain of these missiles truly have the capability of destroying the earth, which isn't going to happen, because as it says in the scriptures, the earth abideth forever. The earth will not be destroyed like modern Christianity will have you to believe, But these weapons are powerful enough to destroy the earth, man. You know, these are the ways to destroy, man. That's what this is talking about. And this is what's going to destroy America because as is prophesied in the scriptures and, various books about the destruction of this place, America, aka Babylon the Great, because that's the end of this place, man, to be burned. It's going to go out the same way Sodom and Gomorrah went out by way of fire, you know, but it's going to be way worse. So I'm going to again stay in Isaiah, get chapter 13 and verse 4. And it says, the noise of a multitude in the mountains, like as of a great people, a tumultuous noise of the kingdoms of nations gathered together. The Lord of hosts mustereth the hosts of the battle. the Lord of hosts, man, the Lord of armies. It's talking about the Heavenly Father, man. And then the noise of a multitude in the mountains, like as of a great people. It's talking about those missiles, man, because once they're launched, you're going to hear them, man. They're going to make a great noise, you know. Verse 5, and it says, they come from a far country, from the end of heaven, even the Lord, and the weapons of his indignation to destroy the whole land. And right, man. Now, pursuing to Genesis 27 and 40, Esau's blessing was the sword, you know, and it's not just limited to, a literal sword, the modern day sword being the gun, you know, and his ultimate sword being the nuclear missiles themselves, man, but as it says in verse 5, man, these are the weapons of the Lord's indignation. And what is indignation? Righteous anger, man, because this is what the Lord is going to use to take this man down. Because ultimately Esau's blessing is his curse, man, because he's going to allow this man to pretty much destroy himself, you know, because Russia on a smaller scale is going to take America down. They're going to be the nation that is going to take America down. But on a much grander scale, our Lord Yahweh Shai, along with the angels, are going to destroy this place, man, you know. But that's Esau's judgment, man. This place is going to be taken down, you know. So I'm going to get the book of Joel, chapter 3 and verse 9. And it says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up, beat your plowshares into swords, and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong, and indeed this is what all these nations are doing. All of these nations that are pretty much, afraid, of America at one point in time, because again, Esau had the world in fear during the time of World War II. After he dropped those bombs, Fat Man, a little boy, on the Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, you know, he had the world in fear. No one wanted to mess with America because no one had seen anything like that before. But pretty much again now, as I went into, you have 9 nuclear armed nations now, man. These other nations are pretty much now exhausting their resources, instead of putting it towards farming, you know to pretty much produce food. They're putting their resources into war, creating weapons of war to get their own nuclear missiles, right? And North Korea is at the bottom of the list when it comes to those 9 nuclear armed nations because they have the least. But still, man, as it says, let the weak say I'm strong, man. These other nations aren't afraid of America. And Kim Jong Un is just one, you know, leader that's ready to pretty much take America down. He's ready. And he's always parading his weaponry, up and down the streets of North Korea, you know. So I'm going to end it on this. This is the book of Revelation, chapter 9, and verse 15. And it says, and the 4 angels were loose, 4 literal angels, because they're holding back the 4 winds of the earth, which those 4 winds are, the destruction, World War III, if you will, pursuant to Revelation chapter 7, because you have 4 literal angels that are holding back the 4 winds, which are, again, the destruction. So this is Revelation chapter 9 and verse 15, and it says, and the 4 angels were loosed, which were prepared for an hour and a day and a month and a year for to slay the third part of men. All right, man. There's a particular hour, day, month, and a year when this war is going to take place, man. And it says to slay the third part of men because you have 3 classes of men on the earth. You have the sons of God, which are also known as the biblical Israelites, the children of Israel, if you will. All 12 tribes, not just the tribe of Judah, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, the tribe of Judah, all the way down to Issachar, you know, and you have the sons of men, which are, the heathen nations, and then you have the sons of the wicked, which is the nation of Edom, or the so-called white man, because that's ultimately who this destruction is for, Esau, you know. Now you will have 2/3 of the nation of Israel that are going to get caught in this judgment, you know, because of their wickedness, because they didn't repent from their sins. And you also have, heathens that are going to die in this destruction as well because, they either didn't flee back into their homeland at time or, just whatever. That was just their judgment to pretty much die over here with Esau and 2/3, you know. But again, this destruction is for the nation of Edom primarily, you know. Verse 16, and the number of the army of the horsemen were 200,000, and I heard the number of them. And thus I saw the horses in the vision, and them that sat on them, having breastplates of fire, and of jacinth and brimstone, and the heads of the horses were as the heads of lions, and out of their mouths issued fire and smoke and brimstone. By these was the third part of men killed, by the fire, and by the smoke, and by the brimstone, which issued out of their mouths. For their power is in their mouth and in their tails. For their tails were like unto serpents, and had heads, and with them they do hurt. And indeed, that clip that I featured in the beginning, that was just a brief illustration describing, or what this is describing in Revelation chapter 17, Revelation chapter 9, Slakia, Revelation chapter 9, verse 17 to 19 is describing those warheads, man. The tails like unto serpents is going into, their rocket propulsion system that is going to be guiding these missiles toward their target, because again, it's leaving that smoke trail, and it looks like a serpent, you know. The heads like lions, again, is going into the warhead, because once it, detaches from the missile, it's going to be on fire, because it's going to be traveling so fast, man. And it's not going to be anything but an extremely bright light, you know. And that's pretty much what these verses are describing, man, the nuclear missiles. And as it says in verse 16, 200,000, all of those warheads pelting the land of America, aka Babylon the Great, you know. So, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory due to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. I like to give double honors unto the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, who I learned this truth from, and I like to say peace and salutations unto the hopefully elect.